Welcome to the tutorial on creating your first Pluxbox application. In this application you can now add and delete items to a list. Here is the Pluxbox dashboard. Let's create a new workspace to design the UI of our application. You can click on the New button here or navigate to the workspace. Click on the Create a New Workspace button. Let's name our workspace First Project. The URL will be automatically generated accordingly. Now hit Save. Open the newly created workspace. As we are going to create the UI, you can click the first icon on the view switch to see only the artboard. Let's start with drawing a container. We can adjust its dimensions on the Settings panel. Let's make it 400 width and 50 height. This is for adding the items to the list. Let's name it Top Container. Draw a new container for our main section to hold all the items that are going to be generated. Let's set the width to 400. Change the position top to 50. And change left to 0. To make it full size of the screen, we can add the bottom constraint and set the bottom to 0, which expands our container to the bottom. Now let's name it the main container. Let's add some more styling to the top container. Align it to the center. Add padding to the left and right. Let's give 20 here. And also here. We can also give horizontal space between the items. Let's go for 12. Now we can add a text field to add the items. To add a component to a specific container, you can drag and drop them under the container. Now this text field is inside of the top container. Now let's add styling to the text field, changing the position from absolute to relative. And specifying the height to 40. We can change the width to fill the container with the padding we specified. Let's add a simple plus button to add the items to the list. Double-click in order to type. Increase the font size to 40 and change the font family from regular to bold. Also let's give another color, choosing the primary color blue. Make sure to align it to the center. Lastly, come back to position and change it to relative. Once ready, rename it to Add button. Now we have a container ready to add an item to the list. We are going to display these added items in the main container. Go to Main Container and make sure you set the layer direction to bottom. Go to Top Container again, duplicate it, and put it inside of the main container. Let's rename it to Item Container. Then, we need a Delete button instead an Add button. Let's make a simple Delete button. Take the rectangle tool to draw a minus sign to indicate the Delete button. Change the position of the rectangle to relative, the width to 22 and the height to 6. Do the same for the plus button container. Let's change the color of the rectangle to red for visibility and also to indicate it's a delete button. You can also choose icons, but for this tutorial we chose to keep it simple. Let's rename the rectangle to delete button. Now we can give a placeholder to the first text field. Let's rename it to new item title. Our application UI is now ready. Let's set up our DB in the workdata. Click on the plus button to create a new collection. Let's name it item_list. While naming the collection will automatically generate the system name. We can name the data structure to title. Finally, click on Save Collection. You can now see the newly created collection on the Workdata overview. Now go to Data Explorer so we can name our first title. Look for item_list collection and then click on it. Hit the plus button to input the title. Write first name and then proceed to save the document. Now we can go back to the workspace and continue. To get data insight to our application, we will load event to the view that will trigger when the view is loaded. Next, insert the live list block. For that, choose item_list from the collections. We will connect the load event to the start attribute of the live list. Now that we have access to the data in our collection, we will use a getData block to extract data from the live list. Let's connect the collection result to the getData object attribute. Inside the getData path block, insert edges. As we are accessing a list of items, let's add a loop list block to access the up-to-date list of items. Because in our collection the list of items can change according to the creation and deletion operations. Connect the getData and loop blocks. Inside the loop list, insert node to the key path to access the desired data. Click on the item container that we created to contain the list of items. Let's connect the loop list block to the position attribute to the item container. You can double-click on the loop list block to go inside the block and create logic connections. Here you can see the input and output blocks. Here we need two getData blocks. Let's add the first one to connect to the loop list block. Connect the value attribute to the object attribute to the getData block. Insert node in the path attribute. Now we need a second getData block. Insert the second one from the menu, or you can also replicate it by simply copy-pasting it. Now connect the attributes of the two data block. Also paste the title as path inside the second getData block. Let's also connect the output of the second getData block to value of the text field component. Click on the preview button to see what we have created until now. You can see our first UI ready with first item we created in Data Explorer. What we want now is to make it possible to add items from the interface. Start by adding a click event to the Add button. Also we need a change event to the text field component in our top container. We need a buffer block here. Let's add it. This is to facilitate the data flow of the input value from the text field while clicking on the button. Click on the blue flush button to disable it for clearing any pending data before passing new data. Connect the two events to the buffer block as shown. Here insert a setData block to set this data to our data collection. Connect the value of the buffer block to the value attribute of the setData block. Add title to the path. Now you can confirm that the data we are passing here is text. Now let's insert mutation block by choosing collections and locate the item underscore list. Select the create option as we create new item. We need to connect the setData block to both execute and value underscore list. Next we need a value block to clear the text field after adding an item. Let's also connect result of the mutation block to the execute of the value block. Inside the value attribute insert quotation marks and hit save. Now connect value attribute of the text field to the result of the value block. Click the preview button. Let's add a new item and click the add button. Wow! It's working. Now that we can create new items, we should be able to delete them too. Double-click on the loop list block to go inside. We need to add a click event to the delete button here. We need a mutation block. Choose our collection item underscore list and pick the delete option this time. You can see the mutation block has a ID attribute. We need to add a buffer block to facilitate the data flow. Disable the blue flash button of the block by clicking on it. Connect the click event to the execute of the buffer block to trigger deletion actions. To set the value attribute, paste ID as path inside the second getData block we already created. This facilitates the data extraction. This extracted value will be connected to the value attribute of our buffer block. Let's also connect the output of the buffer block to both the inputs of the mutation block. You can click on the arrow to come out of the loop list block. Next we need to set the key path as node underscore ID to pass a specific item through the loop list. Click the preview button. Let's click the delete button to delete the items. Good job. It's working. As our application is fully functional, let's quickly deploy it. Click on the menu on the top left and choose Deployments. Click on Deploy button. Give a name to the version. Let's click on the Deploy button. You can also delete and edit the version. Once the deployment is successful, you will see a button named Open. Click on it. This takes you to the live version of your application. Congratulations, together we successfully built our first Pluxbox application.